Let's begin by telling you that the Nigerian government has suspended the October Federation Account Allocation Committee payment to Rivers State amid a feud between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike. The Accountant General's office confirmed compliance with a court order barring disbursements. A federal high court ruled against allocating funds to Rivers State following a case filed by the faction of the State Assembly led by Martin Amewule. The dispute centers on Governor Fubara's alleged failure to resubmit the 2024 budget to the Assembly faction, which is backed by former Governor Wike. Meanwhile, FAAC's October allocations to all states remain undistributed pending due process. The political rift highlights deepening tensions in Rivers State's leadership. Staying in Rivers State, the Court of Appeal in Abuja on Thursday overturned a federal high court judgment barring the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from releasing the voter register to the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission for the recently concluded local government elections. Delivering the judgment, a special panel led by Justice Onyekachi Otisi ruled that the Federal High Court lacked jurisdiction to hear the case. The panel explained that Section 28 of the Electoral Act applies only to federal, governorship and area council elections in the Federal Capital Territory, not state-conducted local government polls. The court emphasized that the Electoral Act is not applicable to local government elections, and the lower court lacked jurisdiction to entertain the suit. The Rivers Local Government Appeal is one of several cases filed by aggrieved parties challenging federal high court rulings. We stay with court matters to tell you that the Supreme Court has nullified the National Lottery Act 2005 enacted by the National Assembly. In a unanimous judgment on Friday, a 7-member of the Apex Court held that the National Assembly lacked the powers to legislate on issues relating to lottery and games of chance. The court held that such powers only reside with the state houses of assembly, which poses elusive and exclusive jurisdiction over lottery and games of chance. In the lead judgment by Justice Mohammed Idris, ordered that the National Lottery Act 2005 should no longer be enforced in all states except the Federal Capital Territory, in respect of which the National Assembly is empowered to make laws. Now, the federal government will likely apply for the extradition of Simon Ekpa, the leader of the Eastern Security Network, the paramilitary organization of the indigenous people of Biafra. The Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukur Guzo, who gave the indication, said Ekpa, a self-proclaimed disciple of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, should be extradited to Nigeria to face criminal charges. However, the IPOB dissociated itself from the embattled Biafran separatist, asserting it had no relationship with him. Ekpa is one of the 97 individuals declared wanted by the Defense Headquarters in March 2024. The Finland-based Biafran agitator is a close ally of the IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, who is facing charges of terrorism, treasonable felony, and inciting violence through his Biafra radio, amongst other issues. Let's now head to the Parliament, where we understand that the National Assembly has amended the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) Act, prescribing life imprisonment for a drug offender and other drug offenders, including traffickers. The decision came after the Senate and House of Representatives adopted the harmonized report on the NDLEA Act amendment. Senator Tahir Monguno, chairman of the Senate Conference Committee, stated that the stricter penalties aim to deter illegal drug activities. The Senate approved the amendment through a voice vote during Thursday's plenary session, presided over by the Deputy Senate President, Barrow Jibrin. In addition, lawmakers passed the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission Bill 2024, which seeks to replace the RMAFC Act of 2004. The proposed legislation is designed to enhance the agency's capacity to manage revenue allocation effectively. Both bills now await President Bola Tinubu's assent to become law. To discuss this, we're joined by Comrade Emmanuel Onwubiko, National Coordinator of the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, URIWA, and of course he joins me from Abuja. Mr. Onwubiko, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so how do you respect this so-called stricter penalty to actually impact drug trafficking activities in Nigeria?
I think we in the civil society community, we believe that Nigeria having a very stiff penalty legally will, in a very massive way, serve as a deterrence. Because if a person is aware that if you do drug and you get caught, you're not going to have the opportunity of ever seeing your freedom again, it will automatically serve as a deterrence. Except if one is a very hardened criminal. Otherwise, for over 65 to 70% of prospective suspects or prospective hard drug offenders, when they look at the harshness of the sanctions, judicial sanctions, if they commit such an offense, they may have another look at it and probably wouldn't want to get involved in it. And having known the kind of situation that we have in our custodial facilities in Nigeria, most of them wouldn't want to get involved and get imprisoned for a lifetime in a very dangerous, facility where their health is not even guaranteed.
Okay, so wildlife imprisonment is severe punishment. Some people feel it is not sufficient enough when it comes to deterring drug offenders. I'm wondering if there are other measures that can be implemented to effectively combat drug abuse and trafficking in the country. And the reason for this is because when you look at the terrorism issue in the country, we've seen rehabilitation. For other offenders in other crimes, we've seen some sort of rehabilitation exercise or program to help them, get off their hooks and be reintegrated back into the society. And one would think such recourse should be accorded to drug offenders too.
I think there are classifications, there are categories of people who get into drugs that may need rehabilitation. Those who are in the habit of abusing drugs are qualified for rehabilitation. But those who are convicted of trafficking hard drugs, a lot of them, even if you give them the opportunity of having an alternative trade, so many of them may not even want to opt for that. Some will actually accept it, but not too many of them want to do it. But if you have a very stiff punishment regime in place, it is a very effective way of dissuading and discouraging would-be offenders,
All right. So I'm wondering, are there potential challenges when it comes to enforcing this new law, particularly, in terms of investigation, prosecution, and conviction? And how do you think that even, law enforcement agencies can be better equipped when it comes to handling these cases?
Well, the NDLEA, as we know it, particularly in the last couple of years, they have shown remarkable determination and effectiveness in prosecuting drug offenders. A lot of drug offenders have been sent to jail. So many have been arrested. A lot of arrests do happen all the time. And we think and we believe, we're convinced that the quality of investigation that we see within the NDLEA institution is not, I mean, it's something to be happy about. While they are also making an effort to build up their capacity, they're making an effort to further equip their investigators and their prosecutors with, better skills. I think the NDLEA will not find it so difficult to enforce the new. The amendments are just very. They're not something that we fundamentally that are kind of a fundamental kind of shift. It is just a kind of trying to assist the agency to better carry out their jobs and probably to reduce the number of offenders that they want to get into such heinous crime of carrying drugs. I don't doubt the capacity of the NDLEA to enforce the law.
Okay. Well, even as we wrap up, Mr. Omobiko, I'm looking at this new legislation or new law and how it would improve the NDLEA as a body. Would that have any sort of effects, or looking at Nigeria's international cooperation when it comes to combating drug trafficking, and of course its relationship with other countries, looking at the global drug control efforts? So is it going to put Nigeria in a better stead if we're able to achieve this properly?
I think it's going to put Nigeria in a very better ground because if, as I said, the amendments to the NDLEA Act will serve as a deterrence, and if we're able to achieve, let's say, 50% chance in the area of deterrence, it will reduce the number of offenders, and it will further motivate the international members of the international community to have more trust on the capacity and the ability of Nigeria to enforce relevant agreements that are in place against drug trafficking.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. or Comrade, rather, Emmanuel Omobiko. It was nice talking to you on the news.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so we're now going on a very short break. When we return, we'll tell you about the National Economic Council meeting, even as resolutions have been reached on state policing and a way to resolve power crisis. To stay with us, we'll be back. Many thanks for staying with us. We tell you now that the National Economic Council has mandated the 3 states of Adamawa, Kebbi, Kwara, and the Federal Capital Territory to present their submission on state policing within the next 1 week. The council, which met in Abuja while receiving several memos on improving the nation's power crisis, tackling food security, amongst others, agreed to present a consolidated position on state policing at its next meeting. Amadin Uyi tells us more.
The meeting was chaired by the Vice President Kashim Shettima. In attendance were state governors and stakeholders responsible for tackling Nigeria's economic decline. The forum deliberated on state police and received memos on efforts aimed at tackling food insecurity.
The State Police Council was updated with the submission of the establishment of state police, and it was reported that 33 states have submitted their positions, while 3 states are yet to do so. And these 3 states are Adamawa, Kebbi, and incidentally Kwara, which is the chairman of our forum, and the FCT are yet to submit their positions.
Council also received presentation from the National Coordinator of the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones, SAPZ. As you are aware, this is a special agro-development program by the federal government working with African Development Bank. And the pilot states, Kano, Imo, Kwara State, Kaduna State, Ogun State, Oyo State, Cross River State, and FCT under Phase 1.
Also, efforts aimed at improving Nigeria's power situation was deliberated, including efforts aimed at increasing current national revenue by relevant agencies in the country.
The Council resolved that Nigeria needs a reformed and diversified electricity system, apart from the one from National Grid. It further observed that by empowering states, accessibility and affordability of electricity can be enabled, ensuring that all regions can effectively meet their specific energy needs.
The implications of the underfunding were discussed, and the Council resolved that they appreciated the challenge being faced by the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, and directed the Secretariat to study the submission as regards to the quantum presented by the Revenue Mobilization and Allocation and Fiscal Commission, as well as the legality of the request.
The Council also highlighted funds available in Nigeria's excess crude account, stabilization account, and natural resources account. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Now to security matters, the Nigerian Senate has called for the deployment of additional security personnel to bolster safety in Abadam and Marte local government areas of Borno State. During Thursday's plenary, lawmakers urged its committees on Army and Air Force to oversee the implementation of this directive, following a motion sponsored by Senator Munguno Tahir, representing Borno North. Senator Ali Undome, representing Borno South, proposed adopting strategies akin to charge special operations in tackling banditry, kidnapping, and the Boko Haram insurgency. In these remarks, Deputy Senate President Barrow Jibrin commended Presidents Bola Tinubu and security forces for their ongoing efforts in curbing insecurity. He emphasized the need for collaboration with neighboring countries to strengthen the fight against terrorism.
The Senate notes that for many years, Borno State has been bedeviled by insurgency, with communities facing one form of attack or the other every now and then. Aware that recently relative peace has been restored in Borno State due to efforts of the Nigerian armed forces, which are commendable. However, some communities are still besieged by insecurity, as Guzamala local governments do not have any civil authority in place, no military presence, while Abadam and Marte local government areas need security reinforcement.
The Chadian government led the operation by their president. We are not saying that we should do that, but there should be a special operation, because this problem is cancerous and is expanding. We are talking about them in Sokoto, Kebbi now. We are talking about them in Niger. They are going to Plateau. They are drawing the second cycle. The main purpose of government is security and welfare of its citizens. It's there in our constitution. We cannot change it. So everything should be focused on security. Because if we say it's Borno today, and we time need to discuss it slightly, saying that we should talk about it in 2 minutes, it will one day get to Kano.
We need to commend our men and women in uniform who are doing their best every day since the beginning of Boko Haram insurgency to secure our areas in Borno and elsewhere. and to also safeguard our people. Some of them have paid the supreme price. Some of them have been injured, and the problem of terrorism is all over the world.
Away from Nigeria's center of power, we bring you to Southwest, precisely Lagos, where Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Thursday presented a record-breaking 2025 budget proposal of 3,595,198,401 naira. To the Lagos State House of Assembly themed the budget of sustainability. The proposed budget, which significantly surpasses the 2.3 trillion naira approved for year 2024, is designed to ensure continuity, resilience, and prosperity for Lagosians. Governor Sanwo-Olu outlined 5 key focus areas, including infrastructure sustainability, economic diversification, and institutional reforms. Speaking during the presentation, the governor emphasized that the budget is a practical framework aimed at positively impacting the lives of residents rather than a mere statement of intent. He also urged Lagosians to support the government's vision by actively contributing to the development of the state.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members of this House, I hereby present the highlights of the textual allocation of the 2025 budget. Under the economic affairs, a total of 908.699 billion naira is estimated. Under the environment affairs, a total of 233.176 billion. Under the health sector, a total of 204.005 billion. Under education, is a total of 208.376 billion. Under security, safety, and public order is a total of 124.073 billion. And under our social protection, it is a total of 47.077 billion naira. Mr. Speaker, as you will note, the budget size is made up of a recurring expenditure of 1.239 trillion, which is about 41%, and a capital expenditure of 1.766 trillion, which is 59%.
Respondent Chidima Ona, who monitored the proceedings, now brings us more details.
The Lagos State House of Assembly was the stage for Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's presentation of the 2025 budget, with lawmakers and stakeholders keen to hear the administration's roadmap for the coming year. In his presentation, Governor Sanwo-Olu highlighted the administration's plans to expand road networks and improve drainage systems to combat the impact of climate change. Infrastructure need dominates the Lagos State proposed budget for 2025, pegged at 3.5 trillion. The proposed budget allocates 1.7 trillion to capital expenditure, representing 59%, and 1.2 trillion to recurrent spending, accounting for 41%. He also emphasized economic diversification by exploring the non-oil sector, job creation, and developing Lagos' tourism potential to boost revenue. These and many others are the highlighted areas for change and improvement. The Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly commended the budget's focus and alignment with the aspirations of Lagosians.
The year 2025 budget is proposed as a budget of sustainability, which is above the 2.3 trillion presented by Governor last year. Is a confirmation of our commitment to sustainable development and economic growth.
Reactions from observers were positive as they expressed optimism about the ongoing progress and the prospects for the future.
It breaks it down how they are going to get the money, how through the tax revenue and federal allocation. So for me, it's a welcome budget, and I think it's going to help the Lagosians.
Whatever we bought like 2,000 naira some months ago, we are more or less buying like 3,000 now based on the exchange rate and all that, the economic downturn and the way things are. So I was even expecting something more than that. In fact, last year one was like 2.3. I was even expecting that we're going to be talking about 4.3 trillion this year.
As the 2025 fiscal year approaches, Lagosians will watch closely to see if the budget of sustainability truly delivers on its promise to create a better, more inclusive and resilient Lagos. In Lagos for News Central, I am Chidinma Ona.
Now take you back to the Federal Capital Territory to tell you that the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has inspected several road projects at the Gwagwalada Area Council of Abuja ahead of their December commissioning date. The minister says that the federal government is committed to investing in infrastructure in a bid to improve the lives of residents in the capital and those staying at far places, including interior communities within the capital. Amadin Uyi tells us more.
The inspection took officials of the Federal Capital Territory Administration to ongoing projects at the Gwagwalada Area Council of Abuja. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, expressed satisfaction at the spate of work seen on the ground.
The government is enjoying to bring development to residents. You can't talk about good governance or impact of government without touching all areas, be it in the city, be it in the satellite town, which you may refer to as the rural areas.
The minister assured those present that the investment in infrastructure by the current government will be a game changer for the country.
By the time these roads are completed and the farmers are now going to farm, it will reduce. So these are part of the strategies, like infrastructure is basic to turn around any economy, any part of the world. If they don't have basic infrastructure, too bad. And that is part of the problems we have had in Abuja here. And we're trying to make sure that we create more infrastructure to open up, not just the city, also the rural areas, so that the economy will thrive.
He says that he is not fazed by criticism because of his conviction that the current administration will transform the lives of citizens in the country.
Criticism must always be there, and you cannot run away from it. But it's not everything that you have to react. Let the people see for themselves. But I can tell you, before this administration ends this first year, you will see that Nigerians will also say, indeed, things have really changed.
The minister adds that the roads will help farmers and residents in rural communities of the FCT and integrate them into the economy of the city center. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Away from that, we'll now tell you that the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, also known as UNICEF, has called for urgent and timely investment alongside increased budget allocation to childhood development, maternal health, and neonatal care. This appeal was made during the release of UNICEF's 2024 updated situation analysis report on children and adolescents in Nigeria, presented as part of the 2024 World Children's Day commemoration. Our correspondent, Joshua Mirai, reports.
According to the UNICEF 2024 situation analysis of children and adolescents in Nigeria, nearly 110 million children aged between 0 and 17 make up half of the country's population, with 1 in 2 living in poverty. It also reveals that over 18 million school-age children are out of school. These concerns were highlighted at UNICEF's World Children's Day event in Abuja, where stakeholders called for urgent action to implement policies that support Nigerian children.
We must increase investment on education, so every child has a right to learn and thrive. We must strengthen healthcare system, ensuring that no child is left behind. We must act decisively to protect children from violence and create safe environment for them to grow.
For our leaders, policy makers, partners in the room, let us remind ourselves that this situation analysis is a real call to action, and we hope it's being used by you to take your decisions and to move ahead.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group present at the event also called on the government to take a leading role in addressing critical issues affecting children in the country.
That with these numbers, we really are a country of irresponsible adults. That we have 20 million unregistered childbirths, that we have 23 million child marriages, where the girl child is not protected. We need government to lead from the front.
Also, Nigeria's Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, who was presented at the event, assured that the government is committed to addressing the challenges affecting children nationwide.
The situation analysis report will support the implementation of these policies that further reduce childhood poverty, infant mortality, and other child-related issues. I want to sincerely assure you that the government of Nigeria will continue to protect the rights of children.
The 2024 World Children's Day celebration concluded with the illumination of the City Gate and the Federal Capital Territory, symbolizing the celebration of children and reaffirming a collective commitment to their rights and well-being. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
Now, the life coaching space in Nigeria is vibrant and evolving, with a growing recognition of its value in personal and professional development. As practitioners mark the 6th Africa Coaching Week, there will likely be an increased focus on establishing standards and enhancing the professionalism of life coaching practices. Let's take a listen.
Space in Nigeria and Africa has been experiencing significant growth and evolution in recent years. Life coaching focuses on personal development, helping individuals set and achieve personal goals. The Africa Coaching Week shines a spotlight on Africa's wisdom, tradition, and modern ingenuity, blending the continent's unique heritage with transformative coaching insights to inspire the world.
Well, this is our 6th year that we're doing this. Every year we do the African Coaching Week, and it is really about celebrating this incredible intervention called coaching and getting people to understand that if you want to be everything that you were created to be, if you want to optimize your performance and your productivity, you need coaching.
Coaching has been said by the PwC as the 2nd fastest growing industry, and we want to be able to tap into it and ensure that our Nigerian, our African coaches are able to get the respect that they deserve and get all of that part.
As more Nigerians seek personal and professional development, the demand for coaching services has increased. This is particularly true among young professionals and entrepreneurs looking to enhance their skills and navigate the competitive job markets.
It's becoming a thing because people are realizing the importance of us as Africans telling our own stories, being authentic, and with us having coaches who are brilliant in certain fields.
We have so much to give to the rest of the world, and we don't need to wait for a European or an American life coach to come and tap into our wisdom and then give that to the rest of the world.
The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated the shift towards online coaching, making services more accessible. Many African coaches now offer virtual sessions, which has expanded their reach to a global audience.
You're watching News Central now. More reactions are trailing the sentencing of a Nigerian, Abdul Olatunji, in South Africa over alleged involvement in a fraudulent activity. When the news broke, many social media platforms were flooded with comments from his associates who actually questioned the conviction. One of the people questioning the verdict is Sheson Abdul, the brother of the convict. He alleged that Olatunji may have been roped into an offense he practically knew nothing about.
In 2022, news went viral on social media regarding one Mr. Olatunji Abdul being sentenced to 8 years imprisonment in South Africa. Mixed reactions trailed the news, with some comments saying he did not do what he was accused of. His brother, Mr. Sheson Abdul, noted that he had been trying to raise the alarm over his brother's unfortunate predicament. According to Sheson, though his brother had been sentenced already, he has so much evidence to prove his brother's innocence. He alleged that his brother was set up by a group of fellow Nigerians.
All these cases are all conjoined cases. They were people coming to buy alcohol. You don't know the people that comes to your store to buy things. You cannot know if this one, but you don't. He has never arrested any of the fraudster. All he just does is Abdul. They just want to frustrate his life. And he has told them, you people, you've taken the money, you've taken the club, you've taken everything. Let me go back to my country. That's why I'm just begging Nigerian government. I don't know. Not every Nigerians abroad are fraudsters. Please, I need you people to come to our help. My family is begging. That's all I'm just begging for.
The victim's legal representative, Mr. Ben Abraham, explained that the Nigerian did not plead guilty to fraud, that he had been sitting in prison for 3 years waiting trial, and the efforts to secure his bail were frustrated by the investigation officer.
Abdul Olatunji needs the intervention of the federal government of Nigeria. It has to be said the way it is. Because what he's facing in South Africa, we all know that the xenophobia in South Africa has not died down. If anything, it is real, it's up there. But what facts we could see around this very issue is xenophobia taken to another level. That's why we are stressing that the intervention from our government needs to be as urgent as it can be. This is an SOS, it's a Mayday call. We've done the petition, copy of which I have here, to the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NEDCOM, headed by our Honorable Abike Davri-Erewa. Also, another petition to the Senate Committee on the Diaspora, headed by distinguished Senator Victor Ome. We've also done another petition to the House of Representatives Committee on Nigerians in the Diaspora, headed by Honorable Okere.
Barrister Abraham appealed to the chairman of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa, to use her office to ensure that Olatunji Abdul gets justice. He also appealed to Honorable Ronald Lamola, the South African Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, to help look into the case.
Now, the news continues in West Africa, where 1 million Ivorians have applied to register for the first time on the electoral roll for the 2025 presidential election. Côte d'Ivoire's Independent Electoral Commission Chief Bamba Siaka disclosed this during a press briefing. The announcement of the provisional tally comes after a month-long process of revising the electoral lists. With 943,157 first-time registration applications, Siaka welcomed the clear increase compared with the previous revision of 2022 to 2023, when 575,489 new applicants were registered.
C'est-à-dire des personnes figurant sur la liste électorale sollicitant un changement de lieu de vote ou de modification de données personnelles. 517 927 requérants, dont 283 419 hommes et 234 505 femmes. S'agissant de la catégorie 2, définition, personnes sollicitant une première inscription, 943 157 requérants, dont 511 125 hommes et 432 032 femmes. La commission électorale indépendante a enregistré 1207 requêtes en radiation d'électeurs supposés décédés.
Still in West Africa, Senegal's ruling party, PASTEF, has secured over 3/4 of the parliamentary seats in Sunday's elections, according to provisional results announced on Thursday. PASTEF claimed 130 out of 165 seats in the National Assembly, marking one of the largest majorities ever achieved by a single party in Senegal's legislative history. The previous record was set in 1988 when the Socialist Party won 103 out of 120 seats under then-President Abdou Diouf. If confirmed by the Constitutional Council within 5 days, this victory will provide President Bassirou Diomaye Faye's party with the majority needed to implement its ambitious reform agenda.
Des commissions départementales de recensement des votes, ainsi que des pièces qui leur sont annexées, la Commission nationale de recensement des votes, conformément aux dispositions de LO 193 du Code.
Outside Africa, we tell you that Israel's military says it had killed 2 commanders involved in Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack, pressing its North Gaza offensive after the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants over the war. With Israel also fighting Hamas ally Hezbollah in Lebanon, footage showed several strikes early on Friday on Beirut's southern suburbs, where the Iran-backed group holds sway. The International Criminal Court on Thursday said that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant may bear criminal responsibility for the war crime of starvation as a method of warfare and other crimes against humanity against Palestinians in the besieged Gaza Strip. The Hague-based court's decision drew mixed reactions from world leaders, with some vowing to arrest the Israelis if they entered their country's territory.
صار لي 5 دقايق طالع من بيتي بتطلع رايح شق على اختي بتطلع بلاقي انه اجى الصاروخ ببيتي ركضت لشوف شو في لقيت اصلا ما عاد في اثار بيت في جوره كثير كبيره وصرنا نلملم اشلاء على بعد مئات الامتار اشلاء كثير صغير عايش هون انا وزوجتي ومعي عندي 4 اولاد من ضمنهم بنت مقعده مش بس مقعده ما بتعرف تحكي ولا تمشي ولا شيء يعني بنت بس مسطحه بالارض هيدي اللي اجى الصاروخ بحرجه بيت مدنيه ما في لا عسكر.
In sports, Bayer Leverkusen and Nigeria striker Victor Boniface is set to miss a few games after returning from international duty with a leg injury, coach Xabi Alonso said on Friday. Boniface reportedly sustained a thigh injury in Nigeria's 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying match day 6 encounter against Rwanda in Uyo on Monday. The 23-year-old started the game and was replaced by Omar Sadiq in the closing stages. The striker failed to train with his teammates on Thursday as they prepared for the clash with Heidenheim. He has scored 8 goals in 15 appearances across all competitions for Die Verkself this season. Forward Patrick Schick, who has started just twice in the league this season, is expected to step up in the Nigerians' absence. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, we look at our major stories again. Federal government stops October Federation Accounts Allocation Committee revenue to Rivers States. Supreme Court nullifies National Lottery Act 2005. We also told you that nearly 1 million new voters are expected in the 2025 election as Ivorians go to the polls. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avro TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.